Madam President, something I want to talk about today is something you and I both care a lot about, and that's farming families and trade. For those of us who grew up on or near farming families, we know that there are a lot of things that are beyond the control of families who farm. For farming and ranching families, the only real certainty is uncertainty. The only thing you know for sure, if your mom and dad are dairy farmers like my mom and dad were, is you don't know for sure. You don't know about the weather. You don't know absolutely for sure that your equipment is all going to work exactly like you need it to at exactly the time you need it to. In some farming situations, you don't know whether the help you need is going to be available the day you need it. The watermelons can't wait, the strawberries can't wait, the tomatoes can't wait, but you can't have a staff on all the time ready to pick the watermelon the 2 weeks they needed to be picked or whatever those farmers have to deal with. But uncertainty is part of farming. That's why trade agreements with other countries are so important to America's agriculture, and this is a part of our economy that not only feeds our country, but goes so far toward feeding the whole world. Trade agreements can provide a little bit of certainty about markets and the opportunities that people that have to sell the products that they're able to grow. In Missouri, agriculture is an $88 billion industry. It employs nearly 400,000 people in our state. Missouri farmers and ranchers export more than $4 billion worth of products every year. Trade deals that lower goods on that we're trying to ship, that lower tariffs on goods that are paid by Missouri farming and rancher families are a good deal. Now, I could go a long way beyond this too, because not only does the agricultural sector impact people who make agricultural products, seeds, chemicals that we need fewer and fewer of all the time because they get more effective all the time, both in the seed and chemical area. People who make and repair machinery, but people in transportation, people in insurance, people who run the local coffee shop, people who the school district depends on for those property taxes, all are benefited by a strong agricultural sector. Now, we make lots of other things in our state too. We make airplanes, we make pickup trucks, we make cars, we make beer cans, we make all kinds of things that are impacted by trade. But particularly when you and I are out talking, Senator, in our neighboring states with the communities we deal with in agriculture, trade is a top-of-the-line issue. It's just an important part of the economy of most of our states, frankly. Because of our location where we live, infrastructure is critical. We're also the hub for products that go all over North America, but that integrating that infrastructure into water and rail and cars and trucks all make a difference in how we compete. Now, Canada and Mexico are our two biggest trading partners in, I'm sure, our state, and I know in the country. Mexico in recent months has become the biggest trading partner we have. Canada, the next biggest trading partner we have. These are not inconsequential relationships. When the United States signed the North American Free Trade Agreement 25 years ago, it did a lot to open those markets for our products and to not only strengthen our economy, but to strengthen the neighborhood. Our exports of food and agricultural products to Canada and Mexico quadrupled under the NAFTA agreement. The treaty also helped to strengthen ties among our countries. You know, a strong Mexico is actually good for us. We have these problems at the border right now that Mexico is trying to help us solve. Almost nobody is coming from Mexico. They're coming through Mexico. And why aren't they coming from Mexico like they did 25 years ago? Because the Mexican economy is an economy that works for people who live there. Strong Canada is good for us. There is more, the daily trade over that Canadian-U.S. border of things passing back and forth is incredible and has been for a long time, but it's also much stronger than it used to be. Keeping these connections strong is essential. Trade increases our economic security, but it also increases our national security. Living in a good neighborhood is what we all want to do, and that's the value we've seen out of this agreement for the last 25 years. Now, the agreement could have been better, and the president's made it better. The USMCA is going to be better than NAFTA. No NAFTA would be a bad thing. NAFTA replaced by USMCA would be a good thing. It's time that we begin to build on what we've learned in that 25 years and move into this century with a new agreement that works for farming families, for ranching families, for workers, for people who, again, make automobiles and airplanes and other things. This leads to more American jobs, and it leads to great benefit for us economically. But again, let me repeat, the national security impact of having two neighbors that want to work with us. What we just saw the president negotiate with Mexico, where they're helping secure that much narrower border at the southern tip of Mexico than we would be able to do at the much bigger northern border. That's helpful. We're there working to help people stay there as their cases are being heard. That's helpful to our country. Easier to keep people there and have their cases heard than let them disperse throughout the entire United States. Certainly, we hope to gain from the new USMCA treaty, but we hope our neighbors also benefit from that treaty, and know they will. The three countries all signed this agreement in November. Mexico's ratified it already. The Prime Minister of Canada says they stand ready to call their Parliament back into session to ratify it as soon as it's clear we're going to. Trade is essential. All three of our countries agree on that. Democrats and Republicans agree on that. Members of the House and Senate agree on that. Now what we need to agree on is how to have a time to vote and approve this deal. Let's give our economy the boost it's needs. Let's give our neighborhood the strength that we've seen develop over the last 25 years. Madam President, we hope our friends in the House bring this to the floor. It'll be a bipartisan vote. It will be a comfortably passed vote, but you have to decide to have the vote for that to happen, and I hope we're close to that moment.